Sorry about the technical problems. We're back inside now. The sun is shining. It was obviously too hot out there or something. So yeah, today we're going to talk to you about the stoats in the garden and their process of giving birth, which is really exciting sort of start to the year. So we're going to start by showing you. Are we ready to go, Will?
We'll just give it a minute to let everyone rejoin the event.
Yeah, so sorry about the hiccup there earlier. So we're just waiting for everyone to rejoin. But beautiful sunny day out there today. And as I was saying before, it's really cold at night. Really sharp frost. We've had a frost virtually every night so far this month, which is sort of holding everything back here. All the plant life and stuff is getting really hard time every night. Every night with these really hard frosts, we've had it down to -5, -6 here. Coldest place in Yorkshire it was the other day in Thixondale. So yeah, so we're just waiting to make a start. But if anyone have got any questions about stoats and the process of them breeding, which I've been studying here for many years now, yeah, send the questions in and I'll answer them as best I can.
I'm just waiting for go ahead from Sam downstairs. He's just checking all on the tech.
And the door chime as well.
Yeah. So thank you again for rejoining everyone. We're just giving everyone a moment to rejoin the event as we had a hiccup to start with, and then we'll be talking today about stoats.
Did all that without moving my mouth.
The other thing to remind you of is we're taking names for this stoat.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. At the moment she's nicknamed Olga, but we're open to suggestions of new names for her. Super little stoat she is, and she's been with us since last year now.
So I think we've got the go ahead from Sam to give it another go.
Right then. Yeah, so welcome everyone to today's live. We're going to talk about the stoats and their breeding process right here in the garden. So we're going to start with a clip of what we saw at the end of last month, which was this little female stoat. And if you look carefully, she's got a very fat tummy there. You can see she's clearly pregnant. She looks a little bit like she swallowed a light bulb when she hops back up on there. She's just having a drink from a paddling pool, but there you go. You can see there that she's clearly sort of pregnant there, which is a great sign. So they always give birth towards the end of March, beginning of April. And yes, that's what we were seeing. So we keep a close eye on that little stoat, see where she's moving, see where she's travelling. And then we noticed she'd slimmed down. And this is some of the shots here, which is right in the garden, just near the maize wall. The maize wall is just up above the brow. You can see she's slimmed down a little bit, but they always have a little bit of baggy skin where they've had their swollen tummy while they've been pregnant. And then this is where I'd found her. So I wait for her to come to the feeding areas, and then I follow her, I watch her and follow her direction of travel. And it didn't take me many minutes to find where she was, because she's only about 20 metres away in this nest here, which we don't have an internal camera here, we have an external camera. And quite often we have stoat kits in this area here. So she was actually in there herself as a kit, as one of Bandita's daughters, but this is her scampering around there. So out she pops there. So I saw she was in there, and I saw she was collecting nesting material, so I put her some more out. I put a great pile of dead grass down there for her. She left it a day because of my scent was maybe on it, and then she found all this grass and starts pulling it in. And this is a great thing to see. She's obviously going to make a really nice nest in there for her kits, and this is really rare footage to be getting, a stoat actually taking nesting material in. I think I might be the only person that's filmed this, and I've filmed it lots of times now with different stoats. You know, a wild stoat collecting nesting material. It's absolutely great stuff, this. There, she was actually dragging it in almost like a badger does there, using the mouth and the front paws, tucking it under herself. Yeah, so just up from there in this shot, you can see there's actually a bin, and coming down from the bin, so there's an actual nest in there, so maybe she'll transfer her kits across to there. But this is a different stoat we've got here. This is a male stoat, much bigger, much stockier, and he's travelling down, sniffing this young female out. And they have a very unusual breeding cycle that they do delayed implantation, so she can be mated a week after she gives birth, and then doesn't give birth until the following year. And this is the moment she was being mated and chased around. I was actually out in the garden. I heard a lot of noise, 2 stoats. I control the dogs, and here we are. We've got keep hold of Pip, because she's a little terrier at the end of the day. You can just see me at the top of that picture. That's how close they were to me there. And you can see when she pops her head up there, the back of her neck, a wet mark, and that's because she's been mated. She's been grasped at the back of the neck by the male. But he's back again and again, because he actually then wants to make the kits as well. And she just is sort of seeing him off there in a semi-playful way. That's playful for stoats. But there she is, back and forth again. Yeah, so yes, the male will go in there. He will mate the female, sometimes away from the nest, sometimes in the nest where the kits are, but he can actually make the kits from 2 weeks old, and they can then do delayed implantation until the following year. So quite a fascinating breeding cycle. So it's this time of year that we're seeing these little kits, and potentially in the next couple of weeks we'll be seeing them above ground.
So to go back of the history.
Yeah, so we're looking back. She's probably one of these little stoats here. This is Bandita and her family, and in that year, so this is probably her here as a young kit. So this is last year, so they can breed within the first year. And this is where she was, same place as a kit herself, playing with the siblings there. So this is what we're sort of looking forward to over the summer. This is late summer now. We've got the kits, that's a male and female, hanging out together. And And this is just outside the living room as well. They're living in the area of rocks inside the ivy there. So that's our living room in the background. So we're literally watching these stoat kits literally from the living room, which is really great stuff. So this is a little favourite area of theirs, where they come and play and fight on the children's trampoline. That little trampoline my kids have grown out of, but we've kept it there for the stoats, and they absolutely love it. And this is how this little stoat became quite famous, doing her little moves on here. And this is the best bit. She actually bounces herself completely off there. Whoa, there she goes. So yeah, absolutely great little characters, these stoats, and we're really looking forward to trying to follow this stoat. We're hoping she's going to take her kits into one of our nests where we've actually got a camera rig, and we'll hopefully be able to bring you some more footage. She's underground at the moment in a safe place, so we just see her when she comes above ground at the moment. So this is Crackle 2019. This is one of Bandita's kits from 2018, carrying kits. So this is what we're looking forward to seeing, moving kits around. They have a fun old time when they're moving them. They coil up into a little coil and get grasped on the back of the head, but this is real speed. You can see how fast these little stoats travel with the kits. She had 5 kits there that she's taking back and forth. Yeah, so she was born 2018, this female stoat. 2019 she has a litter of kits, and they're actually born a few meters away from me here underneath my decking near my studio. So they were great little kits. So she had them here, she moved them down into the bin nest, and then she moved them back around into a shed here. And Bandita had kits here that year too, which was quite unusual. There's a lot of iron and tension between them, but all the kits from the litters more or less survived. I think Bandita raised 7 out of 9, and Crackle raised 5 out of her kits. So yeah, and we do have another female stoat that we're trying to track down at the moment, that's heading around that side of the garden and coming for food. She's gone quite quiet at the moment, so we're just watching and waiting to see if we've got a double again, but we'll wait and see.
And the other thing we were going to say is about this time when they're moving them. We often get them handed in.
Yeah. So I take in young stoats and weasels and do my best to hand rear them and get them back out into the wild. And this is Whisper from last year. Whisper and Whisper's friend Stuart have become internet sensations. They've had how many million views? 70, 80 million views across their videos on our platform and the Dodo's platform, across all the different platforms. So yeah, we're into like 80 million views, I think, now of their story. But when they're handed in, this is a kid 4 weeks old, just before the eyes open, and there's just maybe a little glint of an eye opening, maybe not quite. Yeah, so at 5 weeks old, these stoat kits' eyes open, and if we get any of these handed in, we'll follow their stories and through to release here. So yeah, so we're going to take questions now.
I'll take a few questions.
Yeah, I'll take some questions.
So thank you again, everyone, for rejoining the event, and apologies for the technical difficulties, but we will take as many questions as we can today. So first, it's just a question about which stoat we're following. So some people are asking whether this is the one called Olga.
Yeah, we think it is Olga. To get those definitive photographs, I'm taking more and more video nowadays, and to get that perfect, you usually take portrait photographs of them, just a headshot to recognise them, but it looks like Olga to us, and Olga's maybe up for a rename maybe this year. So we
are taking suggestions for names, so please send them in, and we'll be hoping to start a poll tomorrow that will happen over the weekend to choose her new name. So Sue Ringle is asking, is Bandita still around?
No, it's quite simple no. We haven't seen her for a good part of the winter now, which is, it's very sad for us all here. She reigned here for 5 years nearly, so quite a special stoat. She was born 2018, I think. Is it?
2017.
16.
Yeah,
16.
She was quite an old stoat.
I want to think now. It's 2016 she was born here, and we followed her story. For the first year she was away while her mother still reigned here. I think she was at the bottom of the valley here, because there was a litter of kits there, and then she moved back into the garden when White Muzzle, her mother, who also she reigned for 4 years here before she went to Stoaty Heaven. So so unfortunately Bandita's almost certainly no longer with us, but we have her daughter. The special thing about Bandita that we had here, she actually turned white at winter, and she was quite a tricky stoat to follow. She was very, very wild, even though she was born within 100 meters of here, and she was always elusive, always difficult, and that was the part of the charm about trying to film her. Trying to outwit her was very difficult, and some of her young have actually been a lot easier to film, and like me putting fresh bed in near that young stoat's nest, Bandita could have moved the kits just like that if I'd done anything like that. She was still super wild, super wary, and that's why she reigned here for 5 years.
Miss M is asking another question about Bandita. How old do we think she was?
Yeah, so she was born 2016 here.
So that would make her 5 or 6.
Yeah. Should have been coming up to 5. 5 years, just short of 5 years.
What size is a stoat's territory? And that comes from Facebook watcher Tina Warren.
So that varies, just depending, like all predators, it all depends on what food's available in that territory. So stoats here will travel, Bandita would have her kits sometimes 400 meters away from here, 500 meters, sometimes 600 meters. Her kits would be actually in the nest, so she would range out from that area. So we're looking at a decent sort of area of land, like 40 acres, 50 acres, and the males have much wider range. There's a lot of studies been done on them. Some of them tend to stay in a tighter home range, and some of them will range big distances, trying to cover as many females' territories as possible. So some have this go forth and conquer sort of aspect to them, which is a real problem places like New Zealand where stoats have been swimming from island to island, kilometres and kilometres they've swam in New Zealand to different islands, and they'll even, they don't think anything of it, which is quite incredible. A small little animal like this swimming 3, 4, 5 kilometres out at sea is quite extraordinary, but that's what they actually do.
Question from a viewer on Instagram: do stoats live in America?
Yes. So in America they're called a short-tailed weasel, and then there's a long-tailed weasel and a least weasel. So in England we have a stoat, which is a short-tailed weasel basically, in other parts of the world, and we have a common weasel, which is very closely related to a least weasel. And least weasels are teeny weeny, female only twice the size of a mouse, and the male's about twice the size of that.
Janice Finn on Facebook is asking, what is the largest litter you've had of stoats?
The largest litter we had was a litter of banditas, and she had 9 kits. There's sort of suggestions and reports that they can have up to 13 kits. I've never seen anything like that. We usually have seen 8, 7, 8, 9, a litter of 5, but they were born here off camera, so we weren't quite sure exactly how many there were there. And usually there's one that's slightly a runt in the litter when you get up to numbers like 9 and 8, and we usually lose about one of those.
Melanie Jacobs is asking, is a stoat the same as an ermine? And is that what kings used to trim their robes with the white colour?
It is, yeah. So in certain parts of the world, that in there it's that Latin name ends with ermine, and that's the stoat, and that's exactly the royal garments are all trimmed with the stoat pelt, and then the black bits are the actual tails in the garments, yeah.
So we've probably just got time for one more question. Just find one that we can answer.
An easy one.
A nice easy one for you. We've got so many. Are there differences between male and female stoats? And that comes from Kat Schroeder.
Yeah, there's a lot of difference in size, and obviously the obvious bit, but it's a size difference, yeah. So a female stoat is about 240 grams, and a male stoat will be at least sort of 230, 40, 200, 380. So they're approximately like a third, at least a third bigger. With weasels, you can have almost a doubling in weight. I mean, they live in a massive, wide range across the world. So in different places, the stoats differ in size, depending on the prey species they eat as well. So there is a wide band of weight in like Northern Africa. Weasels, which are the small ones, are almost as big as stoats. So there is a wide size range, but here the female's typically 240 grams and the male's typically about 340, 360, some 380 that I've weighed. There's quite a size difference.
So thank you all for your questions. That's all we've got time for today.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, and sorry about the technical problem earlier.